Hello and welcome back to SHRM Session 7, Part 3. The last part of this session will cover the types of conflicts in negotiations. Your learning outcome for this lesson is getting to know the types of conflicts there are. By the end of this session, you will be able to understand the various types of conflicts there are in negotiations and also gain perspective of perception. There are many different conflicting styles, some old and time-tested, others quite new and always changing. Depending on the style, the negotiation strategy has to be changed and the goal redefined. The type of conflict to adopt will also depend on the situation. Let's look at some types and how they can be dealt with. When the negotiation is about trivial issues or symptomatic of more basic pressing problems, ignoring it is the best suited solution where the goal can be avoidance. For quick, decisive action, unpopular decisions, or when agreement is unlikely, negotiators can use a more imposing strategy to again avoid confrontation. For mutually important goals where neither group can achieve without the cooperation of the other, or cannot even survive, the goal is to diffuse the situation and the strategy used must be soothing. When the conflict involves representatives, the goal must be containment. Before the group's positions become fixed and made public, it must be contained. And when previous attempts to openly discuss conflict issues have led to an escalation, or when a third party is available to provide structure and serve as a mediator, the conflict strategy must be to structure the interaction in order to contain the problem. And when groups have relatively equal power and several acceptable alternative solutions are being considered, bargaining is the way to go. When there is minimum level of trust between the solving groups and there is no pressure for a quick solution, and where the organization can benefit from merging different perspectives and insights, confrontation is sought with a more problem solving technique being used. And when the sources of conflict result from the coordination design of work, where self contained work groups can be divided into clear project responsibilities, and where lateral relationships require much interdepartmental coordination but are clearly not within anyone's departmental responsibilities, it is best to confront the issue by going for a strategy such as organization redesign. The role of perception. When it comes to negotiations, perception plays a big role. Perception is the process of getting, interpreting, selecting, and organizing sensory information. Perception is the process of recognizing and interpreting sensory stimuli. Or, in simple terms, perception is how we as individuals see the world. Negotiators approach each negotiation guided by their perceptions, and this must be avoided. Rather, an unbiased, non preconceived, and open mindset must be adopted in order to determine exactly what is being said and what is meant. There are many perceptual errors that result in unsuccessful negotiations. First one is generalization. This is when we have the tendency to respond in the same way to different but similar stimuli. For example, thinking that all Japanese people are fond of sushi. Stereotyping, where one individual assigns attributes to another individual solely based on the other's membership in a particular social or demographic group. For example, thinking that all millennials are obsessed with smartphones just because someone you know is. The halo effect. This is when you generalize things based on the knowledge of one good attribute of an individual. Example, thinking that a smiling person is always honest. The opposite of the halo effect is, of course, horn effect. Projection. When people ascribe to others the characteristics and the feelings that they possess themselves. Example, when you are frustrated, you will project that frustration onto others irrespective of the situation you're in. Negotiations are everywhere. You and I negotiate without even knowing it. Click on the link to see how negotiation plays out in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean. And click on this link to see how negotiation plays in the sitcom Friends.